Look, I'll tell you, I said it 20 years ago when we started the Young Turks. No joke. Ben and I were on the air, and I said, look, dude, at this point, the left is 100% defeated. If we ever get to a point where we're considered moderates, that means you'll know that we're close to winning. And so here we are. And our positions haven't changed at all. My positions haven't changed. And we went from considered radical left to kind of mainstream now.
Was it Proudhon? Wait, hold on. I want to get it correct. It is? It was Pierre Joseph Proudhon. I dream of a society where I be guillotined as a conservative.
Well, almost there for me. So, but the problem is, online, I'm considered mainstream or moderate or whatever I'm considered. But in Washington, no, they still think I'm radical.
I'm American. Everybody shut the fuck up. Okay? Shut up. I'm gonna read names incorrectly. Okay? It's my God-given right. Fuck you. Okay. Fucking nerds, dude. Freaking I like to read books and all the books have gay stuff in it. That's what you sound like, Chad. Shut the fuck up. Not around, right?
No, they're not.
Okay,
and I
good.
like how my dad wandered in the background the other day.
Yeah.
A little earlier.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, speaking of your conservatism, I mean, we agree on the psychotic idiocy that is running rampant in the Republican Party. I mean, it seems like there were, for the first time ever, electoral consequences for that in this past midterm election,
which is awesome.
Which was interesting. I mean, it feels good a little bit, even though I do know that the Democratic Party is, incompetent and will not learn anything will not learn the appropriate lessons from this, and will not use this as an opportunity to get anything done regardless. And now that they lost the House, I mean, good luck ever getting anything done. And the Senate is not looking too great. If you look at if you look at the Senate map next election cycle and the next election cycle after that, it is looking increasingly worse for the Democratic Party. So good luck to the Dems. Not that they would ever do anything with all the power that they have. They had a majority in the Senate and also in the House, and yet got nothing done, or not a lot done. A lot more than they should have gotten done.
Look, the election was a win for three different sets of people. One is Democrats, because they're thrilled. They're like, this is perfect. We lost the House, so we don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
We just sit around and do nothing, which is Democratic leadership loves that strategy. So they're in hog heaven, right?
You and I agree on that 100%.
Yeah.
Controlled opposition party, 100% interested in fundraising, but never really doing anything. Because if they did something, they would hurt the bottom line of their corporate benefactors.
Exactly. So the second people that love what happened in the election is the corporate world. CNBC had an article the day before saying the markets are rooting for split chambers or for the Republicans to gain both houses, at least since Biden's president, because the markets want gridlock. And whatever the markets want, the markets get. And, of course, they got gridlock. But they had gridlock even when the Democrats had the House, the Senate, and the White House, right? So they always get what they want.
Because they get gridlock on their own party. They get internal gridlock. And this is a concept, this is a fundamental concept that people need to understand, which I talk about all the time, called the rotating villain. If it wasn't going to be Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, it was going to be Maggie Hassan. It was going to be numerous other senators. A bunch of them that voted down the $15 minimum wage when they had the opportunity, when they knew that it wasn't going to even get passed. Like, they symbolically said no to increasing the federal minimum wage to $15. And those guys are always going to be a part of the... there's always going to be enough Democrats that will say no to progressive legislation.
Yeah, if they needed, they could have pulled the Maggie HasanAbi card, and she would have done exactly what Sinema and Manchin did. So, and then the last set of people who liked how the election went is sane people like us, because we're like, oh, okay, good. At least the lunatics lost, right? That's like a big deal that the lunatics lost, because I wasn't sure. Were you sure that they were going to lose?
No, I wasn't. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm excited about what this means for the broader electorate, okay? But also at the same time, I'm still very fearful because I personally think that the number of freaks within the Republican base can grow. There's still a capacity to fucking grow. And if it does grow, then we're fucked. Then it's just full tilt fascism in America.
Yeah. Well, look, and we're not out of the woods.
Couple at a time, it's fine. Go on.
So, number one, I don't think DeSantis and the other guys are actual fascists. I think the only two actual fascists are Trump and Tucker Carlson.
No, I don't think. I think Tucker Carlson more than Trump. I think Trump is just like. I think Trump is just Trump. He's unique.
No, I know, but Trump would end democracy in 1 second flat, and so if he got back into office, he's not leaving. So that's a mortal threat. So I think Trump and Tucker Carlson are deeply problematic and would end democracy. Other than those two, I think the Republicans win in 2024. I know people like flip out over that.
That's not true. I disagree with you on two different ways, two different avenues. One, I don't agree when you say the Republican Party across the board is like interested in preserving democracy or in any meaningful capacity when like everything that they've done thus far is literally undermining the Democratic vote. And it's not exclusive to Trump. It is the Republican Party's strategy across the board. They want to justify voter suppression tactics. And in order to do that, they have to lie about voter fraud, which they've been doing, including even like the most moderate, smart intellectual Republicans like Paul Ryan have even questioned results in California back in the day. So that's a fundamental Republican thing. That's a way for them to win elections. But not only that, but you have the Supreme Court and you have state legislatures gaining power. And the Republican Party, I think, has shifted its strategy from winning elections, which they personally recognize is becoming more and more, they personally recognize is becoming harder and harder. So I think they're just bypassing the legislature completely, the legislative body, completely, because you can always undermine it. The Democrats are going to cuck themselves there. And also you always have the filibuster weapon that you can use to just stop any sort of legislation dead in its tracks, even if you have a minority. And they're utilizing the court system and the state legislatures to now rule the country with minoritarian rule, even if they don't win, even if they literally, like in this case with Kentucky, Attorney General Daniel Cameron, that's Mitch McConnell's own personal hand-selected Attorney General, a day after the Kentucky election ended, where on that very same ballot, people in Kentucky democratically voted by majority vote to preserve abortion protections in the state of Kentucky. Daniel Cameron turned around and said, doesn't matter, we're still taking your right away.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're going to keep doing.
So first, let me just agree with you 100% across the board. So when I say that I don't think DeSantis is a fascist, I mean that he's on the regular path to fascism, slow path to fascism that the Republican Party is on.
Yeah.
So they've been on that path since at least 1980 when Paul Weyrich said, our power goes up with
Google government syndrome.
Yeah. When people vote less. So they've been trying to suppress the vote for over 40 years now. So that's clear. They're the fascist party. They always have been. They don't want democracy. They want minority rule. There's no question about any of that, right? But it's a slower path than Trump or Tucker, where they would just go in and be like, that's it, we're done with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Trump already tried it. He literally tried.
And Tucker and Trump have like a level of charisma that could also get that done. I don't think DeSantis has that level of charisma. I think he's just like a wannabe Trump. He's only 100%. Second best Trump.
100%. This is how, look, I'm still very much worried that Trump's going to win. That he's going to win the Republican primary and they're going to run Biden against him, et cetera. So I'm very, very worried about that because mainstream media always does the same stupid things. They project their ideas onto the rest of the country, right? They're like, no one I know at the cocktail party likes Donald Trump. He has no chance against DeSantis. And by the way, part of that is everyone at the cocktail party loves DeSantis.
Yeah.
They're not like us, where we hate DeSantis, but we hate Trump a little bit more. They are like, they hate Trump. They love DeSantis.
Which is weird because Ron DeSantis is only prominent within the National Republican Party for doing the most Trumpian shit, but only doing it in the safe haven of fucking Florida, where the Democratic Party has basically given up on all ground game and is always running to the right and getting their shit pushed in. Yeah. Another place where they ran to the right is New York, and we saw what happened in places where they did run right. Get wrecked, Democratic Party. But Ron DeSantis is not a moderate by any means, even though the Republicans are presenting him as such. He literally did the fucking Martha's Vineyard immigrant trafficking scheme. He did the election police force thing like right before the election, where he arrested a bunch of felons who thought that they had their voting rights restored. He has done this sort of shit time and time again. He did the "Don't Say Gay" bill. Like he is very much like Trump. The only difference is he's Trump in Florida. Okay, that's it. And Florida does not represent the interests of the white suburban moms who are like, yeah, I still think this like, I still think that like constantly talking about penis inspection day at school is kind of gross. I don't want to think about it that much.
So, look, I don't know if DeSantis or Trump is going to win. It's too early to tell because it's not DeSantis. It's the entirety of the Republican establishment and mainstream media against Donald Trump, right? And that's about a 50-50 contest in a Republican primary. So, but I do know that DeSantis is a bit of a bitch, right? So
he is.
And that's why I'm worried he's going to lose to Trump.
Little Rhonda.
Yeah, Rhonda. That's good. Does Trump say that?
No, I'm saying that.
Okay.
Trump, please hire me. I will work for you, dog. What the fuck?
Don't give him any ideas, man.
Yeah.
That's what
Little Rhonda. Rhonda's stinky. He's got tiny hands.
Don't give him any ideas. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I think about this all the time. I'm like, it hasn't sat right with me that he said Rhonda sanctimonious. That's a $2. That is literally a SAT word, bro. You can't do that.
No. And he doesn't even know what it means. I guarantee you that if you ask Donald Trump, okay, what does sanctimonious mean?
No, just call him a girl. He should hit the fucking classics. Call him a girl and call him gay. What are you doing? Be like, oh, Rhonda, he likes Florida a little too much. Maybe just like Andrew Gillum. Were you at the party, Rhonda, with Andrew?
Your impression is definitely better than mine. I do Alec Baldwin doing Donald Trump.
Because you're a lib.
So, what's that?
Because you're a lib.
Sure. And I'm a boomer and I'm all those things. But you can tell that DeSantis is a bitch because he's copying Trump's hand motions. So when you study tape of Trump and then you do this and you do this to try to appeal to Republican voters by being a carbon copy of Trump, that means you ain't Trump. That means you're a bitch.
Yeah, no, you're always going to be the second best Trump. When the original is there, everyone's going to go for that. Okay, but speaking of you being a liberal and conservative, first and foremost, at the top of the hour, there's a 6-second ad break. I'm not even going to do a segue here because I'm going to ask him about, the reason why Jake's been trending for a while beyond the last iteration of like right-wingers yelling at him. A lot of extremely online leftists, understandably, and this time I think correctly, we're very critical of your takes. Mm-hmm. We are going to talk about that. If you no longer want to see those ads, though, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. By connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, you get one free Prime subscription a month. Notorious ROB, thank you for the 5 gifted subs, allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads. Here's the 1-minute ad break now. Okay. Okay, your guys are rating me so low in front of Cenk. That's embarrassing, dude. That's really fucked up. Okay, anyway, they're giving my ad break segues a rating. So,
I don't even know what that means.
I just gave a segue. Usually I just like cut it into something like without them expecting it. So then they rate it if it's a good debate. If it's a good misdirection, I get a high rating. If it's bad, they give me a low one. And I didn't even try, so they gave me like a really low one now.
Is this the rating?
No, this is a hype train.
That's just a hype train.
That's a hype train because people are subscribing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
As well they should.
I don't know where the ad rate, and I have a bot in the chat that tracks all the ratings. And I don't know where the bot is though. Tamana, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Okay. You are Rick Caruso's most loyal soldier. Many people are saying you are the Fedayeen for Rick Caruso.
Okay, so
is this true? I literally don't know. I only have heard you talk about crime a while ago, like when you and I talked about it. You know what my takes were back then.
Yeah.
Since then, it seems to have evolved into unimaginable places.
Yeah. So first of all, people, as always, have a simplistic way of looking at politics. So by the way, does that include leftists? Yes, definitely. Okay, they're like, me no like Caruso. Me saying Caruso is the same exact thing as Trump. No, wait a minute. Hold on. Now you're saying absurd things. Okay, no one's the same exact thing as Donald Trump. So, and you saying that you're
billionaire real estate developer?
Yeah, but one that isn't a total moron, the one that didn't try to end democracy. But most importantly,
he's more dangerous.
Most importantly is they say if you vote for someone, that means you love them. Okay. No, it doesn't mean that. When you vote for someone, it means you endorse them. That doesn't mean that at all either. Okay. At no point did I go and say, "Oh, you have to vote for Rick Caruso. I endorse Rick Caruso. I think Rick Caruso is great." I never said any of that.
But you say you were voting
I'm
for
voting
Rick Caruso.
for him, and guess what? I did vote for him. Okay. So why did I vote for Rick Caruso? Because I think Rick Caruso is amazing and he's a savior? No, of course not. I voted for him because he's the better of the two options. Why is he the better of the two options? Mainly because of Karen Bass. If you think Karen Bass is going to do, I mean, I'd be shocked if you think this, but if you think Karen Bass is going to do
I love Karen Bass.
anything, she's going to do nothing.
No, I think
nothing.
I think she's going to be the exact same kind of Democratic mayor that Garcetti was,
Exactly.
which is
I'm out.
just holding. But that's every mayor, dude. That's like literally. No, that is literally every mayor. Los Angeles is not going to get a good fucking solidly leftist mayor. Neither is New York. It's always going to be, people that are trying to juggle between the real estate developers' interests and the police unions, and maybe a little bit more special interest sprinkled on top of it. But that's pretty much it. That's like always going to be. That's always going to be the mayor's position. That's the unfortunate reality.
Okay.
Now, having said that, as always, as is the case with every fucking election, we had a moment where we were either going to vote for a dog shit candidate like Karen Bass, who didn't even make an effort, like didn't even make a fucking marginal effort in like going after some progressive voting blocks or saying that she was going to do anything progressive remotely, and just basically was like, "I'm blue, I'm a real Democrat, vote for me," versus an infinitely worse candidate in the form of Rick Caruso, who is quite literally all of the issues that create homelessness personified. It's like wrapped into an Italian human skin. Yeah. Which, by the way, I didn't vote for him because I'm anti-POC, anti-Italian. That's why I didn't vote for him.
Yeah. He's such a person of color.
Yeah.
Okay. So look. So good. We agree. Karen Bass would have done nothing. So then that leaves two things, right? So, and he's going to do nothing. And by the way, as always, I'll just say, I hope I'm wrong. I hope she's great. I hope she actually does something. And by the way, I don't want her going further left. Doing something would be actually doing something about crime and just the anarchy, absolute anarchy in LA. Okay, so we'll talk about it. Okay, but do I think Caruso was going to be a savior and was going to say, no, I know that the mayor of LA is a weak position. I know that he's was going to look out for his own interests, of course, right? But was there a 10% chance that he might do something? Yes. And why? Why is there a 10% chance? Because, number one, what are you spending $80 million for if you're not going to try to do something? Like, so what does something mean? It could mean, no, he was going to try to skim more off the top, build more, developments, et cetera. But he can do that just by bribing Democrats like he's been doing his whole career. So he doesn't really need that. No, if he wanted to run for higher office or he wanted to brag about being a great mayor, he would actually have to try. So I voted for someone who's going to try instead of someone who you can guarantee is not going to try.
I mean,
okay?
I think he just wanted to cut out the middleman.
Yeah.
Like that's the way I see it, because
you don't need it, Haas.
But why? But the reason
he's got a gravy train.
But the reason why people like Karen Bass are shitty is literally because Rick Caruso owns them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So he's just trying to cut out the middleman and be more fucking be more aggressive and worse overall than Karen Bass, because like they're not going hard enough. I mean, the difference between Karen Bass and Rick Caruso on homelessness is marginal. But Rick Caruso is in the worst direction, where he just wanted to. Both of them are advocating for sweeps, just like Eric Garcetti, by the way. I don't give a fuck what Eric Garcetti ran on or what he said he was going to do, but they all do sweeps. Sweeps have not stopped in Los Angeles at all. You and I probably have a disagreement on what sweeps are, why sweeps are bad. I don't even think you think sweeps are bad. I assume you think they're not bad at all, given what you just said about
it depends
anarchy.
On what you mean. It depends on what you mean. But
sweeps are when police come
Garcetti?
in.
I've never heard of him. Like that guy's been on vacation for how many years?
Yeah, of course. He's non-existent. Council district positions are probably way more prominent and way more influential in Los Angeles than the mayor is. Regardless though, and you are correct on the Garcetti thing. The reason why homelessness has continued growing in Los Angeles and in California in general, despite Garcetti's, approach to it, or despite everyone else's approach to it in the city councils, is because sweeps, taking homeless people from like one fucking corner of the street to the next one, like as though all of a sudden it's just that, they're gone or whatever, is a demonstrable failure. And the only difference between Rick Caruso and Karen Bass's was going to be that Rick Caruso was interested in putting them in fucking concentration camps. No. Okay, sorry. Okay. He didn't use the term concentration camp. He said he wanted to concentrate homeless people out in a tent city built outside of like city limits.
No, he said many different things. He wanted to set up different centers in different like lots that the city owns in different parts of the city, et cetera. Look, the sweeps are generally useless, but Garcetti wasn't even doing sweeps. Garcetti just stopped.
But we still have doing everything. So why you don't think sweeps are happening in Los Angeles?
I mean, maybe they're happening, but they're happening a lot less frequently. But it doesn't matter. That's not going to solve the problem in the long run. Look, there's a couple of things here. So first of all, we're going to have a giant disagreement on how bad crime is, right? So.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to look at numbers.
I have numbers too, first of all. And second of all, you guys are 100% wrong on one critical issue, right? Which is that there's a massive amount of crime that's just not being reported, okay? And how do I know that? Because literally everyone I know in LA says, there was a crime, I didn't bother reporting it because cops never show up. Okay, so you're going to say it's anecdotal, but let me give you one sense of it.
No,
okay.
I wasn't going to say that. I mean, it is quite literally an anecdote. However, you are right. It's the blue flu literally all across the fucking country, but we are held hostage by a police force that just simply refuses to do their jobs at all, and have never really been good at doing their jobs regardless. And that much is true, but the answer to that is a strong mayor that is actually going no. Sakın açtırma kapıları Murat. Murat kapıyı kapat hemen. Hemen kapıyı kapat. Sorry. It's just
yeah.
Sorry. Where were we?
Strong mayor of LA and stuff. So look, that's exactly my point though, Haas. Karen Bass is not going to be strong at all. The cops are going to say, yeah, we're not going to do our job. What are you going to do about it? And she goes, I'm so sorry, right?
Yeah, but
here's what Caruso could have done. Again, it's like a 10% chance. We're like gambling here on like 0 versus 10%. So number one, the cops want to blow Caruso, so they might actually work, right? So, and that's not fair and that's not right. But it's true, right? So that's point one. Second is Caruso's at least strong. So if let's say the cops, if I was mayor of LA, let's put it this way, and the cops are like, oh, blue flu, we're not working. I'd be like, okay. I'd instantly start firing droves of them, right? And then they would say, oh, you can't do that. We're going to sue you. I'm like, I know. Sue us. Go sue us. But if you're not going to do your job, you're fired. You're beyond fired, and I'll make a public spectacle out of it. And if I can catch you committing a crime, I'll put cops in handcuffs and walk them out, okay? So I'm not going to tolerate anybody not doing their goddamn job if they're a cop. Now, would Caruso have been that strong? Of course not. He loves cops. But would he have been potentially stronger than Karen Bass? A light breeze is stronger than Karen Bass.
I understand that, okay. Except cops are also not the solution to crime, just like cops...
They're even beginning before of a solution.
Well, here's the issue, okay? Here's the problem. You and I have a fundamental disagreement on the reason for why crime is happening. I think you say I'm like too theoretical and too like pie in the sky because of my attitude to it, which is that there are demonstrable ways to cut crime, and all of those roads lead to material benefits for working class people, specifically by eliminating certain problems that they have. We also have a difference in agreement between you and I, where I think you, much like many people in your demographic, see disorder and lawlessness in the form of like homeless people existing in society around all of us.
That's not what we're saying.
Well,
at all.
a lot of people that are in Los Angeles, if not you, that voted for Rick Caruso with similar, like, I'm actually a very, nice liberal person kind of attitude, voted for Rick Caruso because they assume when they see a homeless person, they think crime. Now, first and foremost, let me be clear. Do homeless people commit crimes? Yeah, of course they do. I mean, there's a dude that like jacks off outside my house all the fucking time, literally all the time. Yeah. And the reality is, like, the way to deal with that and the way to ensure that more people don't become what I call tier 3 homeless, the type of homeless people that you see that are very clearly suffering from mental health complications as a consequence of being homeless for an extended period of time. Okay. The way to ensure that doesn't happen anymore, and the way to stop that from being out in public, is by creating more housing, affordable housing, and also having a housing first approach to dealing with homeless people. You disagree with me, but this is something that has worked literally around the globe. There are examples of this.
All. It's been tried all across the country and it hasn't worked at all. It's never worked. Okay, so
you cannot say that we've had a housing first homeless policy anywhere in the United States of America.
Okay, are you kidding me? LA's been trying to do housing first this whole time. It's nothing. There's no houses. There's never going to be any houses.
Exactly. Do you want to know why?
And we're going to wait around and
we got $150 million. Wait, we got
while we're all waiting for 12 houses to be built.
Los Angeles got $150 million from the federal government to deal with the homeless crisis on top of the $80 billion budget surplus we had. Why do you think the hotel conversion, the motel conversion policy, nor any of the other homelessness initiatives? Oh my God. Why did none of those initiatives actually have money spent? As a matter of fact, they sent the $150 million back to the federal government after not using it. Do you want to know why?
Because Democrats are losers.
That's true. Okay. But the real reason is because real estate developers were like, fucking build houses? Abso-fucking-lutely not. Real estate developers like Rick Caruso are always.
No, you guys don't get it.
It's not even funding. Like we don't
know Caruso like you know Caruso.
No, you guys don't.
These guys unironically are like, they're, even when there's money, they're like, do not fucking build another house. Do not build any affordable housing.
Of course. Like, you guys don't understand markets. So look, there's so many things to address here. But is Rick Caruso and all the developers going to voluntarily build affordable housing? Of course not. You're asking them to take a loss on something when they can make a giant amount of money. Of course, they're not going to do that voluntarily. Waiting for them to do it is moronic. So you have
not.
No, I know. So what I'm saying is, blaming Caruso or anyone else, you can do it. I don't mind. Caruso's not my uncle. I don't give a shit, right? You'd be like, oh, I can't believe how greedy he is. But that's not going to solve anything, right? You have to force them to do affordable housing.
I agree.
Force them, right? And the Democrat would never do that. Because there's, like, the minute they run into a donor, they wet themselves. Oh, it's a donor. I bet you Karen Bass turns around and kisses Caruso's ass.
I don't disagree with anything you just said. I've never been like a vote for the Democrat and we'll solve all the problems type of person anyway.
Okay,
as a matter of fact, I care very little about that. That's why I always talk about organizing power, and that's why I always talk about making sure that there are organizations that are out there that are creating the mechanism of pushback so that we can bully the fucking Democratic Party to then finally,
that's
get
literally
shit
what
done.
I've been trying to build for.
That's what I agree. So that's what I do. That's what I advocate for. Tenants unions and the like.
When you guys like criticize the developers, it's wasting your breath. They're always going to maximize profit. Move on. Get to the government.
I know, but I'm not talking in fucking policy wonks. I'm talking in normies who don't understand it. So of course I'm gonna fucking shit on landlords and real estate developers because they don't even understand. But they don't even. But they personally, most people don't even understand. They're like, what? Like, I kind of don't like my landlord. He's an asshole, painted fucking white over everything, and didn't really fix anything. That's like your only experience. You don't understand like the policy implications on top of that. Level of capital, accumulation in the hands of few people, and what kind of policy implications that has. they are able to get their desires across to Democrats and Republicans.
And by the way, you have to have a distinction there between small business owners and large business owners, small landlords and large landlords. Large landlords are going to steamroll you. They only care about maximizing profit, and if they don't, if they're an executive, they'll be fired and they'll be replaced by someone else. Small landlords oftentimes are good people who are small business owners trying to do the best they can. And oftentimes, by the way, they're pricks.
I don't care about a grandma or grandpa who has like a fucking nest egg, and that's like their that's their pension, that's their retirement fund. That's not what I'm talking about.
That's not. But I want to be clear because people don't.
But it doesn't matter.
Okay,
it doesn't
now
matter.
Let's go to homelessness. You say, look.
Ultimately, we're talking about homelessness, okay?
Yeah. So
and if you think that a housing first policy has not been achieved, or like some level of market control has not been successfully done, I'm sure you've heard this. Like, you know, the existence of places like Red Vienna, as a matter of fact, right? Where 65% of the fucking housing in Vienna, in Austria, is publicly owned. It's like literally government housing that they created. It's beautiful. It's mixed income, and it fucking works. Places with higher social safety nets, with better social safety nets, with better programs for reintegration, with less of a aggressive carceral state, unironically have demonstrably more positive results with combating recidivism, with dealing with homelessness. Like, these are places that exist on the planet.
So first of all, there's two different things that we have to talk about: short term and long term. In the long term, doing what Vienna did, what Utah did, what Houston is doing is correct. Okay, so in the long term, of course, you have to build affordable housing. Of course, you have to get folks into houses. Okay, so. But the problem is in the short term, when LA and other places go, oh, we're theoretically going to build houses 48 years from now. So in the short term, we're not going to do anything, okay? And we're going to call that hashtag freedom. That doesn't make any sense. So what that leads to is what we have here in LA, which is, so I go to Supercuts a couple of weeks ago. The windows busted in. I asked the hairdresser what happened. The whole place, the entire strip mall is a disaster zone, okay? The window's also broken at the ice cream shop right next to it. She said, well, people started coming in and just taking whatever they wanted. We would call the cops, and then nobody ever came. So we stopped calling the cops. Now they started throwing bricks through our window, right? And so the ice cream place stopped fixing it. We keep fixing it every time they throw a brick. So this is a working class person that's pretty scared every time she comes into work, because anyone can come in and take whatever they want, because there's goddamn anarchy in LA. Like, literally lawlessness, okay? You smile, but it's literally, go ahead. You call the cops on the guy jerking off in front of the house. They won't come, right?
Well, I mean,
so,
I wouldn't
so you don't
anyway.
want to call. Yeah, you don't want to call the cops. But how about a family that's got kids?
I mean, my mom stays with me here. It's not like it's a comfortable situation.
Yeah, and I don't think if he attacks your mom, okay?
Okay,
no,
I understand.
goddamn right, I'm going to call the cops on that guy. So there's a guy who went and jerked off in front of a different haircut place in LA for 40 minutes, and the cops are like, whatever, who cares? The women inside are terrified. So if you say don't arrest that guy, I 100% disagree.
No, I'm not.
Definitely arrest that guy.
No, I don't. First of all, that dude is committing a crime.
Exactly.
So yes, I do agree with arresting someone who has their dick out and are jerking out in public. That would be insane.
No, but a lot of
leftists
leftists don't. They're like, oh, hashtag freedom.
You're like strawmanning leftists. Okay, I don't care about
I've
what.
seen them do it.
I yell at fucking leftists for a living. Okay, as a professional career, that's what I do. It doesn't matter what people fucking think. You're talking to me right now, and stop like having this like broader argument with like the overarching left. Who gives a shit what people on Twitter think? Okay, no, if you're jerking off in public, yes, you should be, for a brief moment at least, taken away from that circumstance. Do I think that person needs to go to jail permanently? No, I think that person needs mental health treatment. Like that person. No, I didn't say you said that.
Okay.
I'm giving you what my position is. Like, we need to stop that guy from jerking off in the streets. Throwing him in jail for the night and then releasing him later is not going to stop him from jerking off. That's his passion, okay? He loves jerking off in the street. No. He's never going to stop. The only way to stop that guy from jerking off in the fucking street is by, one, well, he wouldn't be jerking off the street if he had a fucking roof over his head, but also by getting him the adequate treatment that is an absolute necessity for him. Okay, that's it. That's what you need to do. And there's varying degrees of offenses too, which we're talking about.
So that gets into the midterm. So in the long term, we agree. Build affordable housing, get folks into affordable housing. in the short term, good. We agree. Arrest the guy. Okay, you throw a brick through somebody's window, you get arrested. You go in and take people's shit, you get arrested. You jerk off in the street, you get arrested. Okay, so these are obvious things, but not obvious to some. Okay, so then but then when you talk about the midterm, so what do you do with that guy? So do I want to put that guy in prison for a long time? No, I don't. Right, but do I want to make sure that there are consequences? Yes. Okay, so why? Well, 3 years ago, nobody was jerking off in the streets in LA. Then we stopped enforcing the law completely, and now everybody's doing it, right? No, I'm serious. Literally driving my kid to school on Friday, guy in front of the 7-Eleven, like a couple of blocks from my house.
Bro, that
he's doing it. Guy,
I know.
A couple of weeks ago, dropping my parents
It's
off.
not, dude.
There's a guy doing it right in front of their
the reason
house.
why there's more homeless people jerking off in the fucking streets
is because we're letting them.
No, dude.
100%.
No,
so you tell me.
Come on. It's because there's more homeless people, and the more homeless people there are, the longer their homelessness continues, the more fucking mentally ill they become. And that's only happening as a consequence of the housing market. It's not even fucking correlation. It's a causal factor.
Don't infantilize them. They know there's a range. There's a spectrum.
Homeless people know exactly what they're doing.
Okay.
They're like,
no. There's a range. Okay. So, for example, different anecdote. A neighbor that's 3 houses down from me, my street. Okay. Homeless guy comes and starts making lewd comments to women inside her house. She's scared to death. Okay. She says, "I'm going to call the cops." He says, "Go ahead. They're not going to come." Okay. Now I've heard, "Go ahead. They're not going to come" half a dozen times. Okay. In New York and LA. So homeless people and not all homeless people are criminals, obviously, right? Not all criminals are homeless, obviously, but there is an intersection, right? And so those folks have gotten the memo. There are no laws. You can do anything you want. So she calls the cops. The cops don't come. What does the guy do? He goes and sits in her backyard.
Bro, motherfuckers are literally jerking off in public. You think they're watching television to be like, oh, wow.
You think they don't know?
Eric Garcetti.
Why do you think they're going and grabbing all the stuff? You think the word's not out on the street that you could steal under $1,000 and there are no consequences?
Yes, the reason why people do that is also, again, Art, when's the last time you fucking bricked the window and like stole shit?
Because I'm not a criminal, and
exactly.
I'm not desperate, and I'm not all these things.
Exactly, that's
and
the
I'm not
point.
Unbalanced, and I'm not.
Yeah, no shit. That's what. Wait, hold up. That's the point. The only reason why motherfuckers are doing that is because they have nothing to lose. They're in a dire economic situation.
No, but they weren't doing it 3 years ago, Haas.
Yes,
They're doing it now because there are no consequences.
Yes, they were.
They were not, Haas. They're absolutely not. There was.
Okay.
I never went to a
now that
Supercuts. I never went and talked to neighbors where they were like, "Oh, the cops never come. Oh, like criminals are now literally can do whatever the hell they want."
The cops never come is a common thread. Okay, cops definitely do not do their fucking jobs, but the idea that like there is rampant crime all around the country that is happening everywhere, and that the cities are like Gotham City, and we need fucking Batman to come pummel their skulls in, is not a correct narrative.
It's 100% correct, except for the Batman part. No. We don't need to pummel their skulls in. But also, why do you think they're locking up toothpaste at CVS? Because people aren't coming in and taking whatever the fuck they want?
No, people are stealing shit 100%.
With no consequences.
But the reason why they're stealing shit is because the cost of living is unimaginably high, which literally...
That's patronizing.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
No, you and I are never going to be in agreement on this. This is a fundamental disagreement that you and I have. I do not believe that two things. I do not believe that there are more homeless people in front of people's houses and shit because they just know cops are not going to come and beat their asses and like I guess push them somewhere else.
It's both.
It's because the housing market is unimaginably broken, fundamentally broken. Americans think houses are not a form of shelter, but instead a way to accumulate capital, and it's an investment vehicle for many people.
So you got to look. So
that's one.
You have to differentiate between homeless people. So affordable housing is a massive problem. Of course, you're right about that, and we're not doing anything to fix it. But so I had when I ran, I had somebody who was volunteering on my campaign who's a perfectly bright guy, got a great education in psychology. And he's a social worker, so he should be making a livable wage, right? Here in LA. No, he was homeless. He had to live out of his car, and he would go shower at the YMCA, okay? So that guy has an affordable housing problem, but that guy's not going to throw a brick through your wall or your window. He's not going to jerk off in front of your house. He's not going to stab anyone. The guys who are doing that either have mental illness issues or are just flat out criminals, but mainly on drugs, fentanyl, etc. And they
first of all, no one on Fent is stealing shit, bro. Have you?
No, but they are throwing bricks through windows. I mean, why? What's the
bro? Fentanyl knocks you out. What are you talking about? It's like we're talking about medical grade heroin. No shot. They're not doing any of that. It's meth, probably.
Meth, fentanyl, whatever it is.
That's ridiculous that you're looping that in. But listen,
it's not ridiculous. You think that it's not drugs? Drugs are a giant problem in LA.
I think that they're definitely.
If we're having a lot of these people over meth or fentanyl, fine.
Okay, right? Here's why they're doing that though. I think I've talked about this a lot. That's why I said like the tier system. Okay, there's 3 tiers of homelessness. Okay, the first tier of homelessness is what I call invisible homelessness. A lot of people who are homeless, but they're couch surfing. A lot of people who are homeless, but like they at least have some temporary shelter over their heads, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to make ends meet. That degree of homelessness is super common, and most people don't even recognize it. They wouldn't even consider them to be homeless, right?
That's right.
And then, and in that situation, you're in a volatile situation. Shelter is the most important need for survival. Fucking animals have caves. You know what I mean? You need you can't brave the elements, right? That leads to oftentimes, unfortunately, especially if the temporary situation is extended and you lose your temporary situation, that leads to tier 2 homelessness, which is the in between having like the tent in the city or a tent in the fucking streets versus having permanent shelter over your head. Tier 2 homelessness is when you start living in your house or living in your car, and that makes it so that all of a sudden you can't actually shower. You can't hold a job. You can't even really hold a job in tier 1 homelessness as well, but it becomes even harder to hold a job. So now all of a sudden your recovery from that circumstance becomes even harder.
Yep.
That's usually when you start self-medicating. That's usually when you start trying to make money by selling drugs or engaging in shit.
Some don't.
Like engaging,
Ben and I were on the air, and I said,
some
look,
kind
dude,
of, and it's a means of survival.
The left is 100%
engaging in something. Some actions that will help you survive, help you see the next day, help you maintain the roof over your head, even if it's fucking temporary, even if it's a fucking car. And most people in that circumstance then fall into the third pit, which is tier 3 homelessness. And usually, and at this point, it is deeply traumatic. The volatility and the instability and insecurity of not having permanent shelter is so fucking traumatic that it starts breaking your brain. That's why you see the motherfuckers that are walking around the streets with with their dicks out and taking shits on the sidewalk and like throwing it at people, sometimes engaging in like violent behavior. Those are people, unfortunately, that don't even have a fucking tent. They're just like literally sleeping on a sleeping bag if they can find one. Those dudes have had their brains completely wiped out. It doesn't happen because those people are evil. It doesn't happen because those people are lazy. It doesn't happen because those people are immoral. That action comes, no, they're not immoral. You can't say that they are.
No, you're nuts. No, half and half. Look, we agree on tier 1 homelessness. We largely agree on tier 2. On tier 3, so there are guys whose brain is fried, 100%. On those guys, I would fund mental health treatment, which we don't do, and then I would force them to get mental health treatment. So there is no, I think maybe he'll recover on his own on the streets.
Yes, involuntary holds are an unfortunate necessity for some people. Yes, especially ones that do not have, especially people that unfortunately do not have like a way to even give consent in medical decisions.
When you go in,
but that should be handled again by social workers and not police.
No problem. Okay. But the police need to be there to protect the social workers, But yes, mental health treatment delivered by social workers, we hope, but with safety, okay? But when you say that it's not immorality, no, within the range of those folks who are in tier 3, there's different ranges of your brain being zapped, right? Because of drugs, mental health issues, etc. And then there's different ranges of people who choose to do it because they want to, and people who are desperate, etc., etc. You think some people don't get off on it?
I think that there is absolutely maybe like a maximum of 10 trust fund kids that want to LARP like an anarchist lifestyle for the summer or whatever. And beyond that, no, these people are not in.
So a guy who goes and sexually assaults a woman in the streets, he's not immoral?
No, that dude is fucking gone. Like that dude is
sometimes they're
they
gone,
need
but sometimes they're
rehabilitation.
like, hey, you know what?
And by the way, yes,
Lawlessness.
I do think that rapists and murderers as well deserve rehabilitation no matter what happens, because you
But
and I
first
have
we're
a
gonna put 'em in jail.
fundamentally. Yeah, of course, dude. That's insane. No, rapists should go free is not something I believe in, Jake.
Okay,
Come on.
I know, but some do. So I just
No,
want to clarify.
no, that's not true. No one believes that.
100% the prison
Yeah, well,
abolitionists
okay, well,
say,
so-
hey, let them have a fucking picnic in the streets.
That's not true. First of all, like I dunk on abolitionists regularly, but at least I have done some level of reading on,
oh,
you know.
bullshit.
Yeah,
Don't give me
that's
this.
true.
Oh, I read this book, and in the book it explains why we're going to have a utopia if we let everybody all the criminals go. And
I can't believe you're making me defend reading, which is, and also defend anarchists, which I fundamentally disagree with.
My point
this is
isn't
very
reading.
frustrating.
I read for a living, Haas.
I hate
My
this.
point is that abolitionists always, who have never read any of those books, by the way, they're 200% full of
they're
shit.
anarchists.
They will be like, oh, read a book. It's like there's such a bullshit.
They're insane, brother. Why do you give a shit? Who gives a fuck about what some anarchitty from Idaho is saying on fucking Twitter? Who cares? Avoid it. It's fucking white noise in the background. It doesn't matter.
Good, we agree.
It doesn't
Abolitionists are full
matter.
of shit.
But like you're almost doing the same thing that conservatives do, which is like hyper focus on a straw man that is
It's
like
not a straw man.
but it's irrelevant in the grand scheme
Okay,
of things.
all right,
It is
it's irrelevant.
completely irrelevant. Okay? People also believe in like psychic pedophile vampires. You don't see me fucking obsessing over it unless one of those people is like going out and shooting a fucking nightclub. Okay?
So we're done with them since you and I are not in that.
Yes.
Group. Okay.
But
good.
as far as
So-
abolition goes, even the concept behind abolition, even the understanding behind abolition or a rehabilitation first approach, and even when you talk about like abolishing the police force, there's still some form of like democratically organized institution that is going to resemble what the police force is. So it doesn't even
Absolutely.
fucking matter. It
doesn't matter
so
at all. That's
we're not having that conversation because even most of these people, personally, when you arrive at the truth, recognize that there needs to be a presence of a fucking organization that is democratically organized, that is still going to maintain the presence of law and order. Okay, like that's just how societies have to function, and there's always still going to be fucking rapists and pedophiles and people like that, and you do have to, at the very least. Even if medical technology is advanced to a degree where you can like literally medically fix pedophilia or whatever, even if that is the case, you still have to remove them from society for that brief moment. Yep. Okay, so we are in agreement in all that.
So you don't think like help me understand your point then about like okay, it's not a matter of morality when in my opinion clearly there's a range, right? For some people, hey, it's not a moral issue, it's a mental health issue or a drugs issue, etc. And for some people, they see opportunity and they're a little bit more on the selfish end of the spectrum, and they jump on it.
No,
and they take advantage
I think
of other people. And they
I
hurt
think
other people.
I think the people who are infinitely worse at like taking advantage of opportunities, and I'm not saying this to be like a fucking red-blooded commie here. I'm not pinko posting. I'll use terminology from your generation. But like, no, the criminals are literally those who are at the tippy top and not some fucking random brain-broken psycho.
Both. It's both, Haas. It's both.
Those dudes are not making decisions that because they're like, ooh, anarchy is happening in the streets. Let me go jerk off outside this fucking house. That is such a marginal approach that like hyper focusing on that person, which I'm not even sure exists, but let's say, of course, there's like different kinds of fucking demons out there. I'm sure there's a guy who is literally like that. Okay. But like that person, okay, is not the overarching majority. And if you, I can't believe I'm saying this, but like, community organizers and people who specifically work on with homeless people will tell you that is not the majority. These are people who are in fucking dire conditions because of luck. There's no moral factor in play.
That's some percentage. When I say no, I don't want people to misinterpret that it's none of those folks. Of course, some are in that situation. But a lot of folks, look, first of all, there's sexual assault going on all the time. Okay.
Yes, especially in homeless encampments and more importantly, homeless shelters. Homeless people have an infinitely higher likelihood of getting sexually assaulted.
I know. We have to fix the shelters 100%. We agree on that. That's easy for us to say. Unfortunately, no Democrat can ever fix anything, and the Republicans don't want to fix anything. So that's the situation we're in. But Hus, are there people who do sexual assault in the streets of women? And by the way, you and I are both big guys. Generally, we don't experience it. We don't even recognize it, right? But are women scared to go in the streets because guys think, well, the cops aren't coming, so I'm going to sexually assault them? And is that because they're immoral? Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, it happens. Fuck yeah, it's because they're immoral. And there should definitely, and fuck yeah, there should be consequences.
I'm afraid I'm not going to. What? I don't know. I don't think so. I haven't heard back from anybody else. So I think we're going to be here. Okay, we'll end it. We'll end it in 10 minutes. Okay. As far as this conversation goes, like sexual assault and all that, if you think that police have been historically the best force at dealing with sexual assault and sexual criminals, I don't know what
the best, but I think they're a start.
But they've demonstrably not been good across the board. What the only impact here is that people now assume cops are purposely not even dealing with any of this at all, even though they were never really dealing with it from the beginning.
We never even got to why the cops are doing that. There's two different reasons why.
The thing that has changed now is the propaganda behind it. Cops have always been fucking shitty at this. Their clearance rates are awful. They're never actually solving fucking crime. They've historically never been able to, and now they have a fucking scapegoat. That's the difference. That's the only difference between cops now and cops fucking 10 years ago, is that they have a scapegoat. They can say, it's because you're being offensive to us, because you're hurting our feelings, because you're defunding the fucking police, because you're not giving us enough money, when it's demonstrably false. They are getting more money. You at least admit that, right? Like,
yeah. So look, have cops always been lazy? Have they never solved crime? Yes. Okay. They don't even, most of the time throughout my life, they've never even tried to solve crime. Like, we can get into
But you can't say they're solving sexual assaults when there's a national backlog of rape kits that
exactly.
have
I was
gone
just going to say
untested.
the rape kits. So I know that. So you're not going to get me to say wonderful, rosy things about cops. So, but at the same time, is it different now? Absolutely. So if somebody was breaking into a house, somebody's throwing a brick through the window, they would have come, and they are not coming now. Okay, so there is a giant difference. So why are they not coming?
Come and do what? Nothing usually. But
there's several different reasons. Number one, their feelings got hurt over defund the police. Well, how I would deal with that is the minute I got a sense that you could prove that against one cop, 10 cops, 100 cops, I would fire them all. I don't care about your goddamn feelings. You do your goddamn job.
I'm in favor of firing cops.
Okay, so that's point one. Okay,
we agree there.
But there's more reasons. There's a second reason. Second reason is, they might have gotten more funding. They did, Haas, but they're 800 cops short in LA. So there's actually literally less cops. And them being super lazy to begin with, my God, trying to get them to actually do their jobs when they're undermanned, that's a whole nother thing. But the big one, potentially the biggest reason, unfortunately, is that we passed laws where we lowered sentences. Those laws made sense on their own, and I was in favor of those laws.
I don't know. I don't know the 800 cops number that you just dropped, but it does. I don't know enough. I will have to do my investigation on that part of the conversation, but I'm going to go ahead and just say it. That sounds like fucking straight up Police Benevolence Association propaganda right there. They always say that shit, dude.
Does it look like I'm doing propaganda as I'm telling you how shitty the cops are over and over and over again?
A little bit, yeah.
Which part is like telling you the cops are doing great?
They have a $3.2 billion budget. These fat fucks need to do their fucking jobs or fire them. That's it.
But look, largely,
we will never change that.
But let's get to the most important part, okay? Unfortunately, the most important part is we lowered sentences to a place where they made sense. That's great. I was in favor of it. But there was one giant thing it appears that we did not take into account, which is plea deals, okay? And I was worried about it, but like now that we've seen it happen, it's much worse than I was worried about, okay?
Plea deals, what do you mean by that?
So what happens is, you take a crime that used to be a felony and you bring it down to a misdemeanor where it should be, right? Mm-hmm. They go into a trial and the prosecutor goes, well, I'm going to have to plea because I plea on 98% of the cases, right? Well, when I plead it down...
but that's always happened.
That always, right?
Yes,
so, but when it was a felony, they would plea it down to a misdemeanor and you would get an appropriate level of punishment, justice, whatever you want to call it, right? Now, when it's a misdemeanor, they're pleading it down to nothing. Probation, you walk, right? Then you add in a cash bail. Again, cash bail, no cash bail.
You want to know why they're doing that, right? You do know why they're doing that. That's not because they're fucking woke, Cenk. That's because our prisons are overpopulated. No, that wasn't done because like, oh man, people are so progressive. That was literally done because our prisons are overpopulated. So what's the solution? You want to make new prisons in California?
Yeah.
It has the highest density of prisoner per capita. It's like literally higher than fucking entire countries.
When we talk about prisoners and prisons, so there's two giant different things that go into prison. One is a whole heap of people that smoke pot and like not anymore in California.
I'm not even talking about
but
that.
low-level offenses that are bullshit, and we stuff the prisons full of those people so people that prison industrial complex can make money, etc. So we all agree we have to stop stuffing the prisons with people who do not belong in prison.
Okay, but we're talking about California, so why are you bringing that up?
But for the people who actually committed crimes, the people that they're releasing now, I would not release. If I have to build more prisons, then I have to build more prisons. But I'm not going to let people who committed felonies, people who did domestic violence, people who did grand larceny, people who were stealing cars, raping people, murdering. I'm not going to let them go. I'm not going to let them go. Okay?
You're tossing multiple offenses. You're tossing multiple offenses into one.
So I'm saying people that actually did serious crimes need to go to prison. But when we lowered it to for some of them, it seemed like, hey, look, a nonviolent offense should be a misdemeanor. Okay, makes sense. Except then you look at LA and New York law, and as California and New York law, and as it turns out, there's tons of violent offenses that are considered misdemeanors. Like the woman, I can keep doing examples. Don't get over focused on the examples, but I'm just giving it to you.
Bro, you just said Grant.
Like there's a guy who went and shoved shit in a woman's face in New York, and they're like, oh, it's a misdemeanor. He walks.
Bro, you're literally okay. When it comes down to crime, you know this better than anybody else. The reason why this conversation gets off the fucking rails is because when you focus on hyper-specific instances of crime, all crime is bad. Everyone's conditioned into saying that. Everyone understands that. When you fucking start talking about rapists and like violent criminals while simultaneously adding like, instances of like grand larceny or people that are fucking like breaking into places and like stealing toothpaste or whatever. I don't consider those to be in the same category whatsoever. But the solution to almost all of that, especially in a case like California, because how do you describe California then? How do you describe our prison population being so fucking massive here in California? Is it because people are too woke? Is that? But somehow we have simultaneously arrived at this inherent contradiction where California is so woke that we're letting prisoners go, but we also have some of the highest prisoner per capita, one of the highest fucking prisoner numbers on the fucking planet,
but
more than others.
Giving me a general number. Okay, I would like the prison population to be smaller. Now, having said that, if it means letting criminals go to make that happen, I'm not going to do it.
That's not.
And by the way, Haas, it's easy for you to say, "Hey, stealing somebody's car is no big deal," but like somebody at TYT just had their car, so not a host. Okay, so somebody that works on the crew.
I'm not saying that.
And you know what? That fucking hurts, man.
Yeah,
it
hurts. Grand Theft Auto and Grand Larceny are different
The guy
things.
who stole that car should go to goddamn prison. I'm not interested in like, oh, it wasn't a moral issue.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking, bro, you keep doing this. Why are there different degrees of criminality? Why is there even a criminal code if you're going to consider fucking Grand Theft Auto, which is an entirely different fucking charge, with someone breaking into a fucking CVS? You can't use both of those at the same time.
Right.
You can't say that the fucking guy who's breaking into a CVS needs to go to fucking prison immediately while also simultaneously talking about rapists and drug dealers. This is what fucking Donald Trump does. This is what reactionaries do.
Haas, I clarified right in the beginning the difference between petty crimes and not. But by the way, on the CVS thing, now we get to an interesting issue because on that one, would I have them go to prison? Yeah, of course I would, right? Like otherwise, everybody's going to go to CVS, take whatever the fuck they want. And in fact, that's exactly what's happening now. That's exactly what's happening now.
Yeah, I think that is not going to change. And the unfortunate reality of why that's not going to change is because even the liberal side is just basically thinking that we need more hammers and we need more enforcement of laws when enforcement of laws already exist. And it's still happening. And it had happened in the past, and people were still breaking into fucking CVS's and stealing shit.
They weren't.
No,
all of this changed at about 3 years ago. Okay, CVS was not locking up all the toothpaste 3 years ago, and you know it. Everybody watching knows it.
It is quite literally just it is just what you are seeing, what is visible to you.
The reason
That's the only
we're all
difference.
seeing it is because everybody's walking into every CVS and taking whatever the fuck they want.
It's because the media is telling you non-fucking stop that this is what is a gigantic. This is what the gigantic problem is. This is what's going on in the world. That is the main reason.
We see it with our own eyes. Go talk to anyone that works at a CVS. Talk to working class people.
Bro,
fuck the media. Fuck rich people.
I haven't even talked about this. I haven't even talked about this, but someone broke into my car like literally 2 weeks ago. I haven't talked about this on stream. I get it. I understand. Crime is a major component of living in an urban environment, living in a big fucking city, and it is definitely something that impacts every single person. I understand that. Okay, but I, at the very least, am seeing that as a reality and not saying we just have to live with it, I guess. Oh, lol, take the L. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, I can take it, but others can't, obviously, understandably. My frustration is that there are demonstrable, successful methods of dealing with the issue because I don't think this issue is starting or stemming from a point of a lack of enforcement, but instead because people are literally suffering. They're not rich. They're not middle class. They're not having a good fucking time. Nobody steals toothpaste from CVS while they're fucking rich. As a matter of fact, when rich people do it, they're just like, oh, that's just a kleptomaniac, lol, whatever. They let go. When a celebrity fucking steals shit from a store, they let go of that person because that person is not stealing out of need, out of necessity.
Easy. That's easy. But Haas, you think that it's just because people need it? Yeah, I get it. Rich people steal less because they don't need to.
No, they're not stealing. They're not stealing Gucci handbags because they need the handbag. They're stealing Gucci handbags because it's the easiest to fucking sell to a fence. Because a Gucci handbag gives you
those
money.
Guys are they're not like, oh my God, my baby's at home and I have to steal this Gucci handbag, otherwise he won't eat. This isn't Jean Valjean. It's guys in the neighborhood who are going, hey guys, it turns out we can steal things. Let's just go grab it.
Yeah, because they're fucking broke and they have no prospects for the future.
They're making a decision to steal from other people.
Because they're fucking broke and have no prospects for the future.
And so what you need to do with those people
create opportunities for them and also ensure that they have prospects for the future.
Of course. Look, in the long term, create affordable housing for homeless people, create opportunities, lift up wages, etc. All of that we agree on, right?
Okay.
But in the short term, I'm not saying take that guy and put him in prison for 28 years because he took toothpaste from fucking CVS, right? But what I am saying is, let's get back to sanity where there were some consequences.
So why do you but you're still not answering.
There were consequences.
But you're still
that
not.
That guy would go to prison and he would have trouble getting to a position where he can get out 1 minute later. Here's what's happening, Hans.
You are still not answering. You are still not answering one main question that I have, which is if this is the case, if we are just like letting people go, okay, why the fuck do we have such a massive prison system, such a massive carceral state that is like insane, by the way? In California, I have a friend who went to prison in California, was in Los Angeles County Jail. It's basically, once you're in that machine, it is virtually impossible for you to come out of that not being a bigger criminal than you entered.
Yeah, we have to fix the prisons. There's no question about that. And I don't say that blithely. I say it like, no, we actually have to fix the fucking prisons, and no one ever does it, right? And we have to actually have mental health treatment. I 100% agree with that. The problem is that our politicians are so bad. You fund it and they just don't do it.
Oh shit, we gotta go.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna end this.
Last thing.
Okay, say the one last thing. We're gonna end it right here though. So we have to go. The food is cold.
That everybody, the word is out in the street that you can go steal anything you want, is because we got rid of cash bail. And we lowered things to misdemeanors. So when the cops take them to prison,
bro, you don't even understand how cash bail works.
Of course I know how cash bail works. So we bring the guy in, and then the prosecutors say, yeah, I'm going to plead it down, right? And the guy's probably going to walk, but for now, there's no cash bail anyway, so he's free to go, right? So the cops walked him in, and they walked him out. They walked him in, and they walked him out. Eventually, the cops go, what am I walking them in and out for, right? And so they're not responding. That is definitely happening, okay? And then everybody goes out and tells their friends, oh, It turns out they can't even put you in prison anymore. Now, by the way, sometimes people do, if they've committed a serious enough offense and the prosecutor actually cares, and it's in the right bracket, they actually do prosecute 3 months later, 6 months later.
No cash bail. No cash bail just puts the leniency in the hands of the fucking judge that decides whether someone is a flight risk or not. That's it. What you're frustrated by is like judges, I guess, not assessing adequately when someone is a flight risk or a risk to public. That's what you're saying. Because no cash bail, and your framing on this is super right-wing. No cash bail does not fucking mean if you're a rapist, you get let out immediately.
No, I didn't say rapist.
Or okay, if you've stolen shit, you get let out immediately.
You know you do.
No, dog. It just depends on if you've stolen multiple cars and then you still are able to be on release because there's no fucking cash bail. That simply states
under $1,000, you're not going to jail, and you know.
Okay, well,
that means when last thing, when you pass a law saying basically, in essence, because of pleading down and all the things we've talked about, that if you steal under $1,000, you're not going to jail. Do you agree that people will steal under $1,000 infinitely? Like that, they will definitely. People will go and steal shit that under $1,000.
Maybe, but
100%.
But no one is stealing under $1,000 unless they fucking need to steal under $1,000.
No, you're making it seem like
that's crazy.
Jean Valjean. No,
I
know they're in tough situation,
I don't think
but a lot of people are like, let's just go get shit. You don't. That's real world.
That is insane. We do not live on the same planet.
You think they're not thinking? Let's just go grab stuff.
You and I do not live on the same planet. If you think that there is like massive amounts of people who are like, let's get together. I'm a CPA. I have a job.
Not a CPA, dude. I know that a lot of people are in tough times, but it's like you're making it sound like they have no other choice and they had to do it. Meanwhile, the guys
what is the other choice?
Half the time are laughing their ass off, going. It turns out shit is free now. Okay, like that's because you're being patronizing.
No,
you're being patronizing. Like they're saintly, and they would never do anything immoral.
No, I never said they were
saintly. Just downtrodden.
I did not say that they were saintly.
Yeah, of course, a lot of people are downtrodden.
No, I don't think that they're saintly.
The immoral ones are going. It turns out I could just steal shit now, and I'm going to. You don't think that's immoral?
I never said that they're saintly. Okay, I did not say that they're saintly, but I don't think that they're Jean Valjean stealing bread for their family. But all I'm simply stating is that no one with future prospects, no one with adequate living conditions, no one who's making ends meet is going to be like, let me go steal $1,000 worth of shit, dog. I'll be out on bail anyway, without bail anyway, tomorrow. The only reason why there's more people that are doing that now than before is not necessarily because of the enforcement mechanism in the state of freaking California, where we have a massively inflated carceral system anyway, so much so that you have these reactionary people literally saying, I guess we can't lock more people up right now because we just literally do not have the space. They're sleeping on top of one another. It's because there's more poor people. That's it. And if you don't solve poverty, if you don't solve poverty, you will never solve this problem.
But you're not going to solve poverty overnight, Haas.
Okay, but we got to go. But we have to go. Unfortunately, we have to go. We're being super rude to the family. They said the food is cold. I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow. Last 3-minute ad break here. And we'll maybe have this conversation one more time. Okay? Bye, everybody. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Cenk Uygur with the Young Turks. All right.